question.
None of those costs seems to be the long.
Yeah, those costs are also not included.
No, those are included.
They are.
We went and toured this thing, and they're totally included there because they already have the place where they're going to go. It's going to be up at the Idaho National Laboratories. It's like a big football field, and they're just going to sit there on that.
For how many years can they sit there? From the first
They told
one,
us that was included.
but how many years can they sit there? I think that was one thing that we picked up before.
And it's been since
We
the
have
first
no
nuclear.
permanent place to
We
store it.
don't, but we are an innovative nation. So we have exercised our innovative nature to bring these big behemoths down to a small 75-foot high, 17 feet wide units. I mean, we're moving forward. They used to say, okay, you old Republicans and conservatives, you're living in the old days. But no, we're coming forward with new ideas. And when the time comes, we will find a way to get rid of that waste.
To be fair, that's been a nuclear argument for a long time.
Okay, let's get this.
Well, this is good. These are good questions. We want to stay on task. We don't want to rant at each other.
Yep.
So, if there are any other questions that we can bring up right now, but we'll be around afterwards to continue these conversations.
Just one question.
Yes, yeah.
Is there a reason that this has not been presented to the board members as a whole, just as an alternative source of information? Is we have one representative, is there a reason that hasn't been scheduled, or?
I emailed the study to the board and invited them to come here. If the board would like us to present, we'd be happy to. That's on the floor.
I think you also need to know that UAMPS has already sent a letter to the board saying that HEAL Utah is completely wrong about this and misrepresenting all the data, and that's already gone to the board members of Heber Light Power.
Yeah, we are aware of that, but it's not our data. It's Energy Strategies data.
Right. So there might be some reluctance on the member of the board members to listen to their input.
Yeah. Prudent decision making requires hearing all sides. And
Where's the money coming from? That's the question.
Well, it's coming from it's coming from the federal government, DOE, and then there's an investments firm called Fluor that actually just
it's acquired a large part of NuScale, right?
I think they already own NuScale. But Fluor is going through its own financial difficulties at the moment. They just got bought out by another firm, and so there's a lot of sort of unknowns with the project. And to answer your prior point, I think originally when UAMPS first got into this project, we were looking at a very different energy landscape. Natural gas prices were high. Wind and solar were like some far off hippie technology that was never going to take hold. And so the landscape has really changed in the last 6 years. And now I think with UAMPS, they're kind of so far down this rabbit hole that pulling out is, to them, I just don't think an option at this point. So I think they made a bet on this technology and counted on a few different assumptions, but that haven't quite turned out. But I should mention, I mean, if UAMPS said, we want to go completely carbon-free, and we want to do it in the next 6 years, that $65 number actually becomes competitive. But that would mean pulling out of all of your current power purchase agreements, shutting off the natural gas, getting out of all the coal, completely upending, and then going 100% into this project. And that's only based on sort of today's numbers. But that's not what they're marketing. They're marketing this as replacing power from the San Juan coal plant. And so there are always the things that we disagree with, and specific numbers we disagree with. And I do strongly want to emphasize that I think everybody in the end really wants what's best for their community, and I think everybody's making decisions based off that, and we just have different interpretations of the data and kind of where the market is. Yes?
I've got a question off the subject a little bit, but could you give us an update on whatever happened with the Green River nuclear plant that was supposed to happen? That was a 10-year discussion.
Yeah.
And that was a slam dunk.
Yeah.
Where is it at this point?
The company,
Newcastle, right?
Blue Castle Holdings is the small company, but the
Westinghouse?
Westinghouse, the national company that actually built nuclear reactors went bankrupt. And again, I mean, the nuclear is just, I mean, across the country, it's, you know, they're now having to subsidize the plants to keep them open. And so, again, it just gets down to the market, and right now the market, energy pricing from natural gas and renewables is just so low that there really is no market for nuclear. And they kind of lied about a bunch of things.
And let me ask one other question. Where this plant in Idaho is supposed to go, don't they already have a nuclear plant to the west of Idaho Falls?
Yeah, the Idaho National Nuclear Laboratory is there, so this would be built close to that. And they have a bunch of on-site, I think that they have a few small test reactors, they have some waste stored there. And so this would be built fairly close to that.
And so everybody, those local citizens are all on board with this project? Has there been any resistance from them?
Yeah, so there's the Snake River Alliance, which is another advocacy group. I think there is, I mean, it's again, the same kind of arguments. The laboratory provides a lot of jobs. They're, you know, kind of on the cutting edge of technology. I think there's a lot of people that feel pride in having that, but there's also a lot of people that have concerns about water usage and if there's an accident and such things like that. Yes?
Well, last time I attended a meeting here, there was a concern that a question was being brought up, do they have the water there to actually have it? They had answered that they were in the process of getting that water rights. Has that been taken care of now?
The water rights, I believe that's an ongoing conversation. I don't think they've secured the water rights.
So really, there's nothing solid yet, right? Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot that is not in place that needs to be in place. There's some licensing stuff that's moving forward, but a lot of these changing numbers, you know, going from 50 megawatts per unit to 60 all of a sudden, this is stuff that has to be reflected in their regulatory applications and amendments in there that the publicly available stuff that we have, it's not reflected. So we think they're behind on a lot of their licensing stuff, and they're, in order to build public momentum for this project, they're saying.
Why do you think they're behind?
What's that?
They told us they were ahead. I'm just wondering why you think they're behind.
So.
Is that in the last year they've gone by? Because when we went up there, they were ahead. We saw the time frame, and they were ahead on their licensing.
I think they were ahead. They're ahead in. I mean, there's different licensing processes. I think they're ahead in some areas, but I think they're behind. I mean, you can't say that your power plant is now magically going to produce more power and then not have to go back to the Nuclear Regulatory Commission and explain why.
Right.
Yes. So
And
they're
I think
licensing.
that
They're
was approved. I think that was pushed into the application process, and I mean, I'm not sure exactly, you know, what part of the process, but that was a test that they had to vet and approve and acknowledge that it would produce more than they initially thought.
So
and there's different cooling too. There's the water cooling and dry cooling. And so I think it depends on what they finally decide to do in the end, what the generation actual capacity would be,
But
depending whether or not they use all the water.
Yeah, just so,
or
for
not.
example, they've said they're going to get that extra efficiency. They're using helical fuel rods, but that hasn't been reflected on their NRC applications. So I'm sure they're ahead in some areas, but some of this extra efficiency isn't being reflected.
And some of these things, I think, until they get the approval, there's no sense in, you know, there's so many things to do. I'm sure there's an order in which they're doing them. Of course, they can't move forward without the water, but I'm sure that you know, that would.
It's going to be one of your autographs.
Yes, right?
Well, this has been a really, really great discussion, and I appreciate Kayleen and Emily showing up and sharing your expertise. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. It's just been over an hour, so Mike and I will hang out for a little bit. I encourage anybody who has more questions or would like to learn more to stick around and continue the discussion. I would really encourage you, if you haven't signed up, if you don't keep up with HEAL Utah, some of the way that we're going to continue having this back and forth conversation is over email, and the best way for us to get your emails for you to sign up, so I appreciate that. And so take a postcard, sign one of these, and just follow HEAL Utah. We're going to continue working on this, and if and when we do get other meetings going on with the Heber Light Power Board, make make sure you are all included in those as well.
Could you put your contact info back
Yep.
up there, please?
And we're just healutah.org. And those are our emails.
Okay, thank you for doing that.